At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger of Weather NorCal. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hope you had a great Christmas day. Of course, it's the day after Christmas. Now we're kind of winding down, getting ready for New Year's, right? Of course, we did see a very, very windy night last night, especially along the coast. We saw peak gusts of 66 miles per hour out in Crescent City. Look at the valley. I mean, we saw gusts in the valley upwards of 40, close to 50 miles per hour, and there were some power outages this morning. Now, it's not as extensive. In fact, you can see about 1,000 customers without power, approximately, out in Del Norte County, about 100. So when you see the 100, it's about 100, not 100,000, but 100 in Humboldt County and also in Shasta County. There were also some power outages in Siskiyou County earlier this morning. So this is the latest information coming out towards that area. So again, gusty winds is creating a lot of problems here, of course, in the form of power outages. Now, on top of that, we also saw some pretty decent rain coming out of all of this last night. That has since then quieted down as expected, but we are seeing some snow off into the higher elevations. As a result, this is something I mentioned, right? This is the time of the year, you got to check those latest road conditions. Now, as of right now, that chain requirement looks like it's on I-5, but it is not. That's on Highway 89 east of I-5. But if we take a look at some of the cameras out there, right, what we're seeing here is going to go ahead and take a look at 299 East, Hatchet Mountain. Looks wet, but you can see the precipitation coming down. Looks like a wet snow at 4,366 feet. Out at Four Corners, near just northeast of Bernie, you can see it just wet. But Cedar Pass, where there are chain requirements, we've got snow covering the highway there. Let's take a look at Dunsmuir. Looks wet, but look at I-5 near Mount Shasta. We've got kind of that snow right there. That's at 3,500 feet. So we're talking about the potential of snow levels around 3,500 feet. We're seeing that, and we're seeing some snow in Mount Shasta City this morning. Snowman Summit looks like it's covered in snow this morning. Of course, if you're heading out to the ski park this morning, be prepared because you are going to be dealing with snow not only on Highway 89, but also on what they call the ski park highway, basically between 89 and the ski park. So you're going to need those chains. There you can see Highway 36 at 89. This is near Chester. Looks a little wet. And for down near Summit, it's coming down. It is coming down, folks. So there are chain requirements there as well. So that's kind of what it's looking like out there this morning. It's a bit of a mess. I mean, again, we saw those gusty winds last night. We're seeing the snow in the higher elevations, creating some travel delays. The good news is we're not seeing problems west of I-5 or even on I-5 right now, although slick, right? We're seeing it especially out towards Mount Shasta City. Enjoying some of that here. So checking in with some of you this morning. Debbie was the first to chime in this morning. Lisa Stevens saying, good morning to everyone. That's of course coming in from Lisa Stevens. So thank you. Good morning to you. And we've got Terry also saying good morning to everyone. So good morning to you. And we have got Ryan Purcell. Oh, how you doing, Ryan? Good to see you. Snow just north of Dunsmuir, so that would be expected. Dunsmuir is at lower elevation than Mount Shasta City, so thank you for the report, Ryan, and noting that there is some snow there. So that camera you saw looked kind of probably a slushy, wet snow. I do not anticipate it to lower because we are expected to actually see through the day snow levels to slowly rise, actually, especially as we go into this afternoon and evening. But you know, sometimes you can get those really heavy downpours and that can bring some of the colder air down with it. So every once in a while, kind of some of these localized areas can see lower than predicted snow levels because of that. There are so many different factors that we can take into when it comes to forecasting snow, and it gets really tricky. So thank you, Ryan, for that report. I also have Kimberly saying good morning to everyone out there this morning. So there you have it. Good morning to you. Good morning to you all. I'm enjoying my cup of coffee again. And I know it's the day after Christmas, but we still have some eggnog in the fridge. So This is my eggnog coffee again. This is, I think, the third morning I've had that. It's so good. I'm going to enjoy it while I can because it's not going to be here forever, and I probably shouldn't be. I should have shaved this morning, but yeah, you know what? That's what I love about doing this on my own, right? But hey, it is what it is. So that is what it looks like this day after Christmas. What do you say we get to Krueger's Quick Cast for those of you that just kind of want to check in, see what's going on with the weather here real quickly? And it's 7:05 on this Thursday, December 26th. Taking a look at Krueger's Quick Cast out there this morning. The temperatures are on the mild side, upper 40s to low 50s in the valley. Mount Shasta City, 34. That's why we're seeing the snow up there. And you can see 43 in Bernie, 38 for Weaverville, and temperatures in the low to mid 50s along the coast. There is a winter weather advisory for the areas in purple. That's for Siskiyou County and also northern Trinity County. That's until tomorrow morning. And also a winter weather advisory to the east. And that's until noon tomorrow. Also have a high surf advisory until 11 o'clock tonight along the coast. High seas, folks. It's just creating some dangerous waves out there. Out the door this morning, it's going to be fairly semi-wet. I think everyone's going to see some showers. Right now, we're not seeing anything terribly heavy, but we are seeing snow in the mountains as low as 3,500 feet and locally lower than some cases here. As reported, just above Dunsmuir, north of Dunsmuir, you're seeing a little bit of snow up there as well. We take you out to the satellite from the last 12 hours, and you see, of course, the system that passed through last night, giving us the gusty winds that we saw, by the way. That area of low pressure to our north is also a contributing factor, obviously. But that's all moving out. But you see all of that moisture. See that new cold front that develops right there? That band of moisture within that is the next atmospheric river. And that's what's going to bring us a lot more rain in the forecast. As a result, here's our flash flood risk. The area is in green, very saturated ground. We've got the potential for flooding, mudslides, debris flows, rock slides. So that's what's going on here, not only today, but really the next couple of days. So as we go through the morning, we do have that rain coming in. Now, most of the rain this morning in the valley will be Red Bluff northward. It doesn't look to be very wet for Corning, Chico, or Willows. And you can see all that snow in the mountains. Keep in mind, the snow levels are slowly going to rise, but I mean, you're still at about 4,000 feet. So around Mount Shasta on I-5, maybe starting to still see some of that snow up there. There you can see as we take you to the noon hour today, there, of course, we're still seeing that rain beginning to pick up, especially west of the valley. But again, most of the rain, even by midday in the valley, is north of Red Bluff. South of that should remain fairly dry. But we still, of course, have that snow in the higher elevations. I've got snow levels between 4,000 and 5,000 feet. That sticks around even this afternoon, 5 o'clock. The rain beginning to fill in a little bit more for the valley. Rain will get heavier as we go into tonight. Snow levels will start to really rise after that. Now we're above 6,000 feet at this point. But we're seeing some of the steady, moderate to heavy rainfall with that next kind of batch of moisture kind of coming on through. And of course, that's going to bring snow, as I mentioned, mainly above 6,000 feet. So snow levels are rising, which means less travel concerns with chain requirements, but still wet roads. 5 a.m. Friday, look at that. I mean, it quiets down significantly. By the way, while all that rain is moving through tonight, we're also looking at some very gusty winds out there as well. We'll take a look at the forecast road conditions. By noon, conditions do look to improve in some areas, especially along I-5. Now, what you'll notice, you see all the green, the blue on the map, that will transition later tonight, early tomorrow morning, into a lot of reds and pinks. So what that's saying is snow levels are rising, less concerns about travel delays. But again, I want to remind everyone, and I'm going to pull it up right now, because I think this is really a good resource for everybody. I'm going to go to weathernorcal.com, and I want to show you something here real quickly here, because a lot of people may not know about this. Number one, I've got a website for those of you that are new. As you go to weathernorcal.com, scroll down here where it says road conditions. What I love about this is, of course, you got a quick link here. You just click on this, go to Quick Map, and that will show you where all the chain requirements are. But what I love about this is I've got a quick glance at all of the more popular Caltrans cameras. So you can very easily and quickly see where the issues are. There's I-5 near Mount Shasta. Look at that. You see that? We're seeing snow. We saw a picture of that earlier. Look at Snowman Summit. It's coming down up there. Chain requirements. Buckhorn Summit, though, Highway 299 West, you can clearly see it's just wet, but not snow. Cedar Pass, you can see the snow there. And, of course, we're looking at for down your Summit on Highway 36 East. Look at all that snow up there. But Chester looks okay. And of course, we take it to Highway 395 and doesn't look to be all that bad there either. So again, weathernorcal.com, click on this right here where it says road conditions. That's what you'll be getting into. So just wanted to kind of show you that here real quickly as we take a look at those road conditions. All right, let's take a look at the winds because they will be breezy, borderline windy through the day today, just not as strong as they were last night. Now, tonight is another wind event. Look at this. It's lighting up again, 40, even 50 miles per hour. I think we could see more power outages tonight and early tomorrow morning. Now, look at the winds. They are starting to die down, but it's still breezy, borderline windy on Friday morning and most likely through Friday afternoon. So for today, you've got the mainly cloudy skies, showers, and then, of course, snow down to about 4,000 to 5,000 feet. It could be locally lower than that at times. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for the valley. I mean, night and day here, folks, because we're going to be looking at off and on rain through the weekend, but by Monday, yeah, plenty of sunshine. Now, despite the added sunshine, it's still cool. I mean, we're not going to warm up. In fact, it's going to be cooler. Temperatures mainly in the mid to maybe even some upper 50s as we go into Monday through New Year's Day. Yes, next Wednesday, New Year's Day, 2025. Can you believe it? Oh, man, oh, man. Coast, inland, Trinity County. Look at the snow levels. Again, today they're down to about 3,500 feet, locally lower in some spots here. But as we go through the afternoon, especially tonight, they're back up to 6,000 feet plus. Now, we may see a slight drop on Sunday and still a slight chance. I may be taking that out of the forecast by tomorrow. Latest forecast models are getting a little bit more consistent in bringing us drier weather for next week. But we'll see. We got to keep looking at those longer range forecast models to get a better idea of what we're dealing with here. But bottom line, drier for next week. And for your New Year's Day, looks like it's going to be a dry day out there as well. We have got, oh, that's right. We have actually got, let's do this. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at some of these cameras here. Taking a look at Lake Oroville, it is still looking wet out there, kind of overcast. But really, we're not seeing much in the way of rain. And we saw that on Futurecast, right? Most of the rain is going to be north of Chico and even possibly Red Bluff is kind of in the transition between drier and wetter conditions. So we could be looking at some wetter conditions there. There's a look at Main Street, Chico on Highway 32. Look at the winds. The winds are still pretty gusty out there. We take you out to Highway 99 at Neal Road. The camera is shaking in the wind. Again, those winds are kind of lingering from what we saw last night. Let's see here. I think I have it in here. Oh, there's Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Of course, we're looking, you can't really see any movement or motion there, but we're seeing that. All right, you know what today is? Today is Thursday. We got our NorCal Ag Report. It is sponsored by Lassen County Nursery, and we headed out to a really cool store that's been around in downtown Reading for over a year and a half, I believe. And they have got a great store there that is kind of centered and kind of ag-based. So check it out. We're going to meet the owner of the farm, as it's called.
Hello everyone, I'm Sadie Krueger with Weather NorCal, and this is another episode of your Ag Report brought to you by Lassen Canyon Nursery. I'm here with Kimberly at the farm, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her store, her products, and where you can find her.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm down here in downtown Reading at 1416 Yuba Street, and the farm is an ag-centered shop where I have local goods, local meats. Every meat that I sell is locally raised in Elwood Ranch is in Bella Vista, and I have pasture-raised chicken that's raised in Capay, which is near Orland. I have lamb that was raised in Shingletown.
Yum! So yeah, you can get local meats. And we have some wonderful baked goods that I'm looking at over here. Can you tell us about some of your other products that you have? And it smells amazing in here. She's making these fabulous turnovers with roasted garlic and caramelized onions and goat cheese. And
yes. So just recently we got the ability through the county, because I have a commercial kitchen now, to bake and cook and make delicious foods. So we do things like thumbprint cookies and chocolate chip cookies, and whenever I can use something that's locally made, I do that. A friend of mine sells her jams and jellies in here, and so I've been using her jams and jellies in my cookies, and she makes everything local as well. She's in Reading.
That's awesome. So also, I heard you might be doing some cooking classes.
Yes, so I've done a few kids cooking classes in the past, and I'm looking forward to doing that more and doing some sort of like hot mess in the kitchen where people maybe feel intimidated cooking from scratch, hosting chefs and different people in the community to teach how to like break down a whole chicken and make meals out of that. And some homesteading friends of mine, they know how to use the whole bird, which is amazing. There's nothing that goes to waste. They cook it down, and make broth, and they cook the bones all the way down to feed that to either their dog or put in their garden bed.
I love it. Yes, I love using the whole chicken and making stock. And then I'm also looking at some amazing products. There's goat cheese lotion, right?
Goat milk.
Goat milk lotion.
Yeah.
And some supplements. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your other products?
Yeah, so the store is kind of curated through relationships that I've built in the community, people who make things like goat milk lotion and soap, and she makes tinctures and salves. And she's in, actually I believe she lives in Bella Vista. She's a teacher in Shasta Lake City, extremely gifted, creative person. And her line is called Convival Farms. And then there's other makers that do seasonings and lotions. There's lots of tallow balms. That's really popular. Another sustainable type thing. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it for your skin. There's a local pottery maker called Helping Hands Pottery, and she's fantastic. Some of you may already have seen her goods out there at different pop-ups. And everything is chosen based on the sustainability, either supporting local creators or the sustainability of your health.
All good things that I love. So great job. So if you haven't come down yet, I'd recommend you come out and checking out the farm and maybe getting some local beef and supporting our local community.
All right, so I want to thank my wife, Sadie, for doing that interview. Of course, I was behind the camera taking some of those footage here, but what a great shop that she had there, and we got a chance to try one of those turnovers. So good. And I tell you what, there's nothing better than, eating baked goods that are locally baked and just prepared. The freshness of the ingredients is fantastic. And of course, as you know, our sponsor is Lassen County Nursery and of NorCal Ag Report. So I want to thank Kenny Elwood, of course, the owner of Lassen County Nursery, for sponsoring the Ag Report and, of course, supporting Weather NorCal in general. So very appreciative of what he does for Weather NorCal and, of course, what he does for all of you. We get this great Ag Report that we developed kind of in that idea of his sponsorship as well. But, of course, during that time, you've also really been growing his other business, which is, of course, as you know, Elwood Beef. And I tell you what, it is Elwood Ranch. And they got some good beef, and so that's really a great place for you to go, is the farm there in downtown Reading, and that's where you can get some of the great beef that they have. My wife, she picked up, we picked up a bunch over there, and looking forward to enjoying some of the Elwood beef that we were able to pick up at the farm. So once again, I want to thank Lassen County Nursery and Kenny Elwood in general for, of course, his sponsorship and support of Weather NorCal. Well, what do you say we get to, while we're at it here, we are going to go ahead and get ourselves over to, I know I can get it, we're going to get to it, we'll get to it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our deeper dive forecast now as we get into the forecast. And as you know, we also have other sponsors. And the sponsor of Coffee with Krueger, the full sponsor of Coffee with Krueger, is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. So once again, thank you to Wind River Resort and Casino for their support. Well, there's a look at the radar. You can see this is a loop from the last 12 hours or so, and most of that rain, as you can still see, is to the north, as we'd expect, as we saw in Futurecast there a little bit earlier. Not as wet down to the south, places like Chico and Oroville. The winds still gusty in some spots here, and really honestly, it'll be kind of breezy, borderline windy through a good portion of the day for many of us throughout the day. There are going to be some areas that kind of get the wind-sheltered areas, won't be as bad in some, but across the board of Northern California, from the coast to the inland valleys, to the mountain valleys, to the northern Sacramento Valley, there will be some gusty winds at times today, just not as strong as what we saw last night. You can see the temperatures, for the most part, fairly mild out there, but colder for some of the higher elevations. But looking at the overall trend here, and what we're seeing here for the next several days, off and on rain through the weekend. Flooding is going to continue to be a concern through the rest of this weekend, as we already have a very saturated ground. And once you put rain on top of that, it has nowhere to go. So our creeks and streams, our rivers, they start to start to rise. We start seeing some low-lying areas start seeing flooding. We see the potential for mudslides and debris flows and rock slides. But we're also, with the off and on rain, we're even looking at gusty winds at times, off and on gusty winds as well, with our next wind event coming in late tonight and early tomorrow morning. But I do expect, boy, it just feels like I've been talking about this all week long, this off and on rain, the wet weather, the wind, the snow in the mountains. We're finally getting a drier trend as we go into next week. And I'm beginning to see a bit more consistency in the long-range forecast models with that. So this cold front's the reason why we saw those gusty winds, along with that area of low pressure right here. That's moving off to the east, and that's why our winds are dying down. However, you can see another area of low pressure. That's going to be moving in. Our winds are picking up. This is the next storm system. This right here is the next atmospheric river that is going to be impacting us. You see it right here looking at our forecast model. This is the moisture content. So what we're looking at here is the water vapor, the available moisture that's in the atmosphere. So when you start getting the yellows and reds, that is a very moist atmosphere. And this is where we can really kind of pick up and see where these atmospheric rivers are going to go. So you can see the next one right here. We're still kind of cut off from that main flow. We're still got plenty of moisture, right? But we're not seeing a direct flow of moisture over us just yet. That will change though. You can see that little batch kind of pushing on through, and then it kind of breaks off again. Then we see another pointing right here at us for Saturday, Sunday, and going into Sunday afternoon. But by Sunday afternoon, that shifts to the south, and now we're getting cut off from any atmospheric rivers. So as we go into Monday, Tuesday of next week, we're going to see this next one right here approach, but see where it's pointing? British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to see some of that moisture spill into Northern California. But the main flow is right up here. So we're not going to get any of the rainfall from it. We're just going to see the clouds for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But that's about it. Now we look at the atmospheric river impact, and you can see these spikes right here through Sunday. Then by Sunday afternoon, it drops. Now it's the breaks between these spikes that we look at. How far are they spread apart? The farther they're spread apart, the better recovery we have from each rain spell, but there's not a lot of breaks in between, and that's why the potential for flooding as we go into the next several days is going to be a bit of a concern going into the weekend. Now again, we were just looking at that, and I'll take you back to that. You'll notice we're kind of in the blue and green, kind of trying to touch the Category 3. And for those of you that are new to this and new to me explaining the atmospheric river impact, let me explain to you that not all atmospheric rivers are the same. I'm talking about an atmospheric river, but it's not the atmospheric river that the media has really kind of thrown at you as being doom and gloom, right? Because Category 1, it's not a big deal. Category 5, it is a big deal. All right, so let's talk about that. Category 1, primarily beneficial rainfall. That's rain that we're happy to see. It's good stuff. It's filling up our lakes, the works, right? When you start getting into AR2, it's a balance of beneficial and hazardous. So what that's saying is, hey, we're getting the rain we need, we're happy to see it, but we're not so thrilled about the fact that now the ground is getting saturated and we're seeing flooding conditions and the potential for flooding, mudslides, and debris flows, and of course the gusty winds that can many times be associated with these atmospheric rivers as well. Now, Category 3, it's just kind of a step up above that, but then really when we start running into bigger problems is when we get into AR4 and AR5, because by the time we get to AR5, it's not rain that we want anymore. We're like, all right, enough, because now we just got problems, right? Massive flooding, gusty winds, right? We don't see these events very often, but when we do, we know it. But we're kind of in that bottom category. So that's why I'm talking about an atmospheric river, and that's why I'm not talking doom and gloom when I'm talking about it, because that's not always the case. Atmospheric rivers, that terminology has been around for a long time. But it's also something I like to use as a way to tell the weather story, because it is part of the weather story. So we were talking about Category 2 being the potential of beneficial rain, but also hazards. Look at that. That's one of the hazards right here. Flooding today. We got the potential for flooding tomorrow, especially the areas in green, and even into your Saturday, and even better chances going into Saturday. And the reason being is, as we continue to see these rain showers move through, the ground is getting more and more saturated, and we're just seeing those rivers and those creeks and streams rise even more. And we can't forget about the fact that we're probably going to be hearing about more mudslides and debris flows and rock slides too. All right, so here's a look at Futurecast. As you see here this morning, most of it's off to the north and east. It's beginning to fill in a little bit here by this morning. Most of it around Red Bluff northward in the valley to the south. Not as wet, but it's beginning to fill in a little bit more to the west. We're still seeing snow. Now, I've got snow levels between 4,000 and 5,000 feet. Keep in mind, it could still be close to I-5 near Mount Shasta, but probably kind of in that transition between rain and snow. 12 at noon today, we're seeing most of the rain again, Red Bluff northward, but then going into the afternoon, it begins to fill in a little bit more here down to the south. So Red Bluff, Corning, Chico, Willows, all seeing that chance for some showers. Heavier rainfall off to the west. In fact, this is the next batch of moisture that's going to be coming in here tonight. Now, with that rain, steady, moderate to heavy rainfall at times, including parts of the valley. Along with that, gusty winds. We saw the wind event last night. We'll see it again, probably again here for tonight. Probably not as bad, but the winds will be gusting upwards of 30, 40, even 50 miles per hour. Snow levels probably still somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 feet. But at this point, we're beginning to see snow levels rise. And now we're back up to 5,000 to 6,000 feet. Now notice by tomorrow morning, we're actually kind of seeing less in the way of rain because that main batch of moisture is out of here. We've got some scattered showers, mist, drizzle, low clouds, low visibility, kind of some foggy conditions out there. A bit of a break, right? We see some breaks here, especially in some of the higher elevations, but still a lot of the low clouds, mist, and drizzle for parts of the valley. We see another little batch of moisture kind of come on through here as we go into Friday afternoon, Friday evening. We see some rounds of some heavier rainfall by Friday evening, Friday night. Snow levels very high. We're not seeing any blue on the map here, at least much blue, because we have to go above 6, 7, even 8,000 feet before you start seeing that snow. Now notice midnight on Saturday, most of the rain is to the north, not seeing much down to the south, but then that will start to kind of fill in. We go into Saturday morning, 5 a.m., most of the rain is off to the north and west. And really, it looks like it's going to slowly kind of push to the south, but not very heavy rainfall for the valley through a good portion of the day on Saturday. But by Saturday night into Sunday, this right here is what's going to kind of shift down to the south, and I do expect one last round of that moderate to heavy rainfall and fairly steady over as we go into Saturday night and into your early Sunday. The amount of rainfall, we'll see what happens here, but it is showing through Saturday 5 p.m. anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches in the valley, more than that for the coast, and of course about 1 inch for parts off towards the north and east. Winter weather, that's going to be a concern. As I mentioned, though, as we go into tonight and tomorrow, those snow levels are rising, but we have a winter weather advisory for northern Trinity County, Siskiyou County through Friday morning, and through noon tomorrow off into the eastern mountains, of course, just east of the valley. So you'll see these mountain communities just aren't seeing much in the way of snow, because anything we see today is, this is basically taking us through the afternoon and into tomorrow, indicating and showing that those snow levels will be fairly high. You see, I mean, we're talking 2, 3, even 4 feet of snow for some of the highest elevations, but again, you have to go above 6, 7, 8,000 feet before you start seeing that. So we look at the road conditions, the forecast road conditions through noon. You can see most of it's off to the east. Look at Highway 299 west, 36 west. For the most part, it looks pretty good for you, just those wet roads, right? But we do expect that up, say, 4,000 feet and higher is where we're probably going to continue to see issues when it comes to, say, north on I-5 or east of I-5, where most of those chain requirements will most likely be. Because you'll see as we go into tomorrow morning, it's mainly the form of red and those purples. That's basically just saying, yeah, the snow levels are rising. And it will be more in the form of maybe some mixed precipitation in there, kind of that wintry mix, if you will. But bottom line, even though it's showing conditions are improving, always, always, always throughout the day, today, tonight, next several days, check the latest road conditions before heading on out. All right, so that's very important for you to remember. And just go to weathernorcal.com, click on the road conditions section, and you'll see just how convenient and awesome that page is for checking the latest road conditions. Here's 5 p.m. on Saturday. That's what we saw the timing on Futurecast here just a second ago. That is shifting to the south. Remember I was talking about that moisture shifting to the south? Well, there it is. That's the heavier rainfall once again Saturday night into Sunday morning. That shifts to the south. Still some scattered showers Sunday. Monday looks fairly dry. Tuesday, Wednesday looks fairly dry. Why? Because the atmospheric river that we see here, look where it's pointed, off to our north, and we are looking at dry conditions. I mean, even if we extend that into Thursday, we're not really seeing any more rain on top of that. All right, so here's what we got through today, through Wednesday, really through the weekend, right? Because we're going to be looking at drier conditions by Monday. But this is showing 1 to 2.5 inches. But we saw through Saturday evening, 3 inches, right? So I think we could see 1 to 3 inches, a very good possibility once all is said and done through Sunday. More than that for the coast, and about 1 inch to maybe a little bit more than that off to the north and east. Now, what you'll notice when we were going through this week and even last week, the area over Northern California was all shaded in this dark green. What that's saying is very good chances of seeing above normal rainfall. It was spot on, right? Because we've seen above normal rainfall. But as we go into the long range, what we're seeing now is we're kind of between the wetter than normal conditions and the drier than normal conditions. So we still have a chance for some wet weather in that longer range. It's just not going to be nearly as heavy as we've seen here and as extensive as we've seen here for the last week or so. But there you can see warmer than normal conditions, not balmy by any stretch of the imagination, but temperatures probably right around or just above normal. Take a look at the lake levels. This is one of the good things that's coming out of all of this rain is that the lakes are starting to fill up. Last 24 hours, Lake Shasta is filled up by 1.5 feet. That's just in the last 24 hours alone. Not so much in Trinity for Trinity Lake, but Lake Oroville, almost 2 feet. You've seen the lake rise by almost 2 feet in the last 24 hours. So that's always good to see. All right, if you're heading out to the ski park today, first of all, make sure you got your chains. Make sure you're prepared for that snow because there is snow on the roads. I-5 near Mount Shasta, there's snow on Highway 89, and of course there's going to be snow on the ski park highway. That's between 89 and the actual ski park, right? There's going to be snow there. But looks like good snow on the summit there at 55 inches. So it looks like things are pretty good. By the way, keep in mind, it's going to be pretty windy up there today as well. So if the winds get strong enough, and they've done it before, if the winds get strong enough, they tend to close the park down. But just note that you're going to want to bundle up too. Make sure you got that face protection. It's going to be windy and cold too. Take a look at the forecast snow totals. Now this is through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. 16 to 32 inches. 16 at the base of the park, 32 inches at the summit of the park. So good looking totals, right? Now we have more precipitation Friday afternoon and Saturday, but look what happens to the totals. A little bit at the summit, mainly at the summit of the mountain itself, but you're not seeing anything, any more new snow out towards the base of the ski park. And why is that? You know, we're seeing the snow levels rise. That could turn into a wet situation, maybe kind of a slushy mix, maybe at times just rain, especially at the base of the ski park. So just note that if you're heading out to the ski park Friday afternoon, Saturday, maybe even Sunday, well, Sunday is going to drop. So Friday, Saturday, a little concerned that it'll be mainly in the form of rain. Let's talk about those winds. They're going to be pretty gusty out there. Now, again, we talk about off and on rain. What we're going to be talking about here is off and on winds. We have another wind event late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Could see gusts 30, 40, even 50 miles per hour. Power outages, still a very good possibility. But then by tomorrow morning, they subside, but it's still breezy, borderline windy through the day on Friday. And we'll just take you through the day on Saturday. You'll see here that we just continue to see the gusty winds at times, even through the day on Saturday. Now, there still is that high surf advisory along the coast here, basically until 11 o'clock tonight. We look at those wave heights through today. Now, it's going to take you into Friday. They're not changing much. Now, when we look at our marine forecast here for your Thursday, yeah, the winds are pretty strong out of the south at 15 to 20 knots. Look at the waves. I mean, we've got some pretty big waves out there as well. High and low tide for today. Your sunrise, sunset. Hazardous seas warning for today. Not a good idea to be on a small boat. All right, and that's going to be the case even probably tomorrow too. So there's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mid to upper 40s. We take you down to the south. We're talking mid to upper 40s there as well. About 46 for Forest Glen, 44 degrees in Wildwood. And for the north coast down to the south, about 52 degrees for Red Crest, 52 in Honeydew, 56 for Shelter Cove. Up north, 54 out in Ferndale, 53 in Hydesville, and 54 degrees in Fortuna. Up north, 56 for Trinidad, 56 out in McKinleyville, and there you can see Willow Creek, about 49 degrees. And even farther to the north, 50 degrees for Smith River, 47 for Gas Key, and there's 48 degrees for Orleans. How about your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast? Upper 40s along the I-5 corridor there, although towards Gazelle, probably about 46 degrees. For Scott Valley, low to mid 40s, 45 for Fort Jones, 42 in Etna, and 43 in Callahan. Central Eastern Siskiyou County, 39 degrees today in Tennant, 40 for Mount Shasta City, and 42 degrees in Dunsmuir. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, temperatures mainly around 40, give or take. Newell about 41, 41 for Alturas and California Pines, and Ayden about 40. And for your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, 43 for Montgomery Creek, Shingletown about 43, Hat Creek about 39, Lake Almanor, Lassen Park, 41 degrees for Chester, 39 in Lake Almanor Peninsula, and it looks like out towards Canyon Dam about 37 degrees. Let's take you down to the south where Paradise, you'll see a high of about 49 degrees today. 39 in Mineral, 43 in Susanville, and Doyle about 45 degrees. All right, let's go and take a look at your forecast for the Valley. Of course, brought to you by Walgamith Painting. They're sponsors of our Valley neighborhood forecast. You can see about 53 degrees in Corning, 53 degrees out in Durham, and 54 degrees in Red Bluff. Not as wet, at least for the first half of the day for Red Bluff southward, but as you go north of Red Bluff, better chances for showers this morning and, of course, through the afternoon. Gusty winds at times, too, but we are looking at about 50 degrees in Whiskeytown and 54 degrees in Cottonwood. So we look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. You've got showers. Nothing all that heavy really for Friday, especially for the first half of the day. But by Friday evening, we've got more of that wet weather kind of kicking in here. And then Saturday, Sunday, more showers. Snow levels, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be eventually dropping back down to about 4,500 feet or 4,000 feet as we go into your Sunday. Dry by Monday, Tuesday. And it looks like we're going to be looking at for your New Year's Day, Wednesday, dry conditions. And it's looking more and more like it's a consistent pattern that we are seeing those drier conditions here. So that's good news. Here's the thing. The rain, sometimes people panic. They go, oh my gosh, we're seeing all this rain. And then we suddenly see a dry spell for 4 or 5 days and people start panicking. No, it's not time to panic. We're doing fine with water. Let's go ahead and enjoy, for our sanity, some drier weather for next week. That's not guaranteed, by the way. I'm seeing more consistency here in that drier pattern for next week, but still nothing guaranteed that far out just yet. We'll take a closer look. All right, so we got some people making some comments here this morning. Let's take a look at what we got here from Catherine Schmidt. Good morning, everyone. Stay dry, as always. Thank you, Mike. Just really soggy and warm in Castle area. Then we've got Mark Olson saying, good morning, Mike. Thanks for the weather. You are welcome. So glad I could help you out here. And we got Kimberly saying, wondering if Buckhorn Summit will get snow on Sunday. Let me think about that for a second. I'd say the chances are pretty slim. I've got snow levels around 4,000, maybe 3,500 feet. What did I have? Let me get this out here. Take a look at my little forecast sheet, just double checking. Sunday. Yeah, I've got it at 4,500 feet. I'd say you're going to be okay for Buckhorn Summit. I'd say that now, but do know that that could change. All right? Always important to watch the latest forecast, know what's going on with all of that. Of course, meteorologist Chase Wilson will be in this weekend with the latest forecast, so he'll have some of those, a little bit more information for you on that. But as usual, if you are going to be traveling at all over the weekend and really from now through the weekend, I want you to check the latest road conditions before heading out. That's just very important. Once again, I'm going to do another shameless plug on the website because this is such a great resource. I'm going to show you here. We're going to go to weathernorcal.com. Okay, so when you get to weathernorcal.com, you'll see, of course, the 24-hour streaming channel there. You scroll down, and there it is, road conditions. This will give you a quick link to Quick Map, where all of the latest road conditions are, or chain requirements are, that is. And then you can see at a quick glance, look at all the different cameras that I have on here for you just to quickly glance at and see what's going on, where you might be going. So you have just a quick look at those cameras. By the way, if you have a phone, just go to weathernorcal.com on your phone, click on that section as well. And of course, you can get that information from the free Weather NorCal app. Great resource. Love it. I go to it whenever I'm just kind of checking out the latest on all of that. Did I end up going to? I didn't. Did I show you? Was I just there? My goodness. I don't think I was. All right. Tell you what, let's go to it now. All right, so here we are at the website, weathernorcal.com. Click on road conditions. There it is. You also have a quick link to Quick Map. And of course, as I was mentioning, a quick look at all of the cameras in the air. There's a look at Snowman Summit, by the way. There's a look at I-5, Mount Shasta. Looks better. Looks like Caltrans has done a good job clearing it off. But as you start heading up higher elevation, there's more snow on Snowman Summit. So be prepared for that. All right. And then, of course, we take a look at some other cameras. Buckhorn looks good right now. Hatchet Mountain looks okay. But Cedar Pass, there you can see. Seeing more snow there. So again, just a quick look. Yeah, thanks, Chappie. You were right. I forgot to click it back on to that. So there you go. All right, so that is going to do it, folks. And that is your morning show, Coffee with Krueger, made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. I want to thank them for their sponsorship and want to thank you for watching this morning. What do you say we kind of wrap things up here with a couple of cameras? We'll get some cameras in there. Ooh, I did that. I can't believe I just did that. One-man bench, folks. I'm trying to do it. We can do it. We're going to leave you with some cameras here. And this is looking out at Lake Oroville that we're looking at here right now. And it looks like it's going to be a wet day out there for some of us, although not as wet for our friends to the south. Chico, for example. Yes, maybe some drizzle, maybe a passing shower or two. But as you can see, it doesn't look like it's raining there now, just some leftover puddles from what we did see last night and early this morning. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow morning on Coffee with Krueger. Until then, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.